Hello, welcome back to another vlog. I am inserting this little intro now because I realised when I came to edit this vlog, I never actually started it. I just went straight in. The most random mix of things there has ever been in the world. Just come back from Morrison's. Yesterday we were in Morrison's and Milo was like, oh my God, we've got to get this for Isabella. Like he wanted to spend his own money on this coat. So I went back and got it today. How cute is this? It's so cute. And matching boots. I'm really hoping that these will fit her because this is 9 to 12. She is 9 to 12 months, but I don't know how big her feet are. We'll see. I'm going to see her later. But there was one pair that was like newborn right next to the coats. And I was looking at other stuff for ages and randomly found these in the back. So it feels meant to be. Then the other stuff is like the beginning of the advent calendars. This year, the kids picked this one for Milo's and this one for Ella's. This is tricky. Oh no, the things come off that. This is not a large box to fit things in. So I think what might happen is I might put some things in here and then it will correspond to something else that she opens because these are really small. Just said it in a video which is going up later this week. I was supposed to be sitting here. This is the best place for me to sit because it's the closest to the wires. It's cool. He shows no interest in moving whatsoever, so I'll sit here, it's fine. I cleaned up the office yesterday. I know this doesn't look clean, but I've just got loads of stuff out for filming. Just trust me, it was clean a minute ago. It's so much better. It's just so much more space. I really, really love when I have the desk facing the door. It's my favourite way to actually work. Also, can you see how much grey hair I'm getting? It's very stressful, this life. Love that way of sitting, but it really makes me anxious because it's not something in the middle of the room. When I'm sitting there, great, best working position ever. But if I'm doing anything else in the room, like my YouTube stuff, cleaning, it's just not happening when I've got a desk in the middle of the room. So I kind of moved some things around last week and it still wasn't quite working. And so I ended up putting the desk here instead. And now I've got this unit so I can sit in front of the daylight and film and do my makeup. I think most of it was driven by the fact that I wanted to be doing my makeup every day because I'm kind of like getting back into whatever that is, kind of tapping back into old school me, pre-pandemic me, trying to remember who that is. And I felt like everything was on top of me. So I'm feeling really, really good about this space today. And I've set everything up to film a get ready with me and haul of my new tiny Sephora package. I'm back to editing, money has moved, and I'm eating some bread with my Parmesan butter. And I don't think I've told you about this. It is incredible. I'm gonna try and perfect it and kind of maybe like whip it up with a hand whisk. It's pretty much just butter melted in the microwave, and then I melt Parmesan into it and then put it back in the fridge. So the way that I make it, because I'm just making it for myself, it doesn't necessarily look the most appealing because it kind of looks like lumpy butter. I know, gross, but it tastes amazing, completely amazing. And once you take the top layer off, because that's like the texture, it just looks like butter. It's just maybe like a little bit harder because obviously it's got a hard cheese mixed into it. Absolutely incredible. And I think maybe, I just made this up, so I don't know if there's actually a recipe out there that I could follow. But when we went to the Harvey Nichols, this is years and years ago now, I keep thinking stuff was like, oh, well, when was that? And it was like pre-COVID. The Harvey Nichols cafe, they had, I went a few times in like quick succession, and they had this like sourdough bread and Parmesan butter that was just so delicious. Over lockdown, I was thinking about it a lot and I decided to give it a go myself and just kind of melted butter and mixed this into it. It's so, so good. But I think there must be a way to make it so the texture is still more like butter, not quite as hard, and it looks more appetizing. Because you can kind of see it's kind of like more like a cheese, right? But like a spreadable Parmesan. Think of it that way. And it does spread. And it is delicious. I'm just walking around to my brother's house. I'm going to go and spend some time with my sister-in-law, and then I'm going to go and steal the baby away for the afternoon. Having a little apple snack. This is so cute. She's only just started eating, so weaning phase is adorable. Also, I'm using a salt dough recipe. It's basically just let's say it's in cups, because it really doesn't matter. That just gives you the ratio. A cup of plain flour to half a cup of salt to half a cup of water. And then you have to cook it on a really low heat for 3 hours or until they're solid.
Oh, he likes when I say that.
Devastation.
I'm just on my way to the living room to sit down on my couch.
I am so happy with how these turned out. I'm gonna get the kids to paint them. They took ages and ages to cook. Bake, I don't know. But a fun thing to do, I think, especially with little kids. And then we skipped a day because I was feeling so rough. I'm hoping that it was something that I ate that made me feel as bad as I did yesterday, and not a bug because I was with the baby. But I'm feeling okay this morning, so fingers crossed. I went to my grandma's house with my dad, and just kind of like, I mean, it's not the final time. There'll be lots more times because there's final cleaning and stuff to be done before he hands over the keys. But we've been steadily emptying it, which means that I keep being given things to bring back to my house. And I find it really difficult to say no. But I kind of did like some last walkthroughs and some more pictures that I found of me and my brother looking super creepy. It's really bittersweet. It's a different situation now because when we first were doing this, my grandma was in a residential home and that was indefinite. But she's had some test results come back recently and there's not going to be very long from what the doctor said. So basically she's now been moved to somewhere that is end of life. So the benefit of that, the silver lining of that, I think, is that when we had to go through all of my grandma's things, she was still well. Not well enough to live alone, but well. And so it didn't feel quite as sad going through someone's life. It felt like she's still here for us to ask questions or about pictures and like to like remember things with. So it was nostalgic, but it didn't feel sad. I think it would have been a much more difficult experience having to do that now or later. Sorry, that wasn't very festive, was it? Took a turn. I've been so out of sorts since we came back from Vegas, completely unrelated to what we were just talking about. But I've just felt really, really weird. Not holiday blues, because I was prepared for that one. I thought, oh God, I'm going to feel like, I was concerned that I'd have no focus because it took up so much like mental time and energy. But I can't quite put my finger on, I mean, obviously there's stuff going on, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. In a strange way that has manifested itself, strange for me, is I've barely done any skincare. Like I'm taking my makeup off at the end of the night, but most nights I'm not even putting moisturizer on. What is that all about? Like, that's a really, really strange thing. It's like saying I haven't brushed my teeth for a week. Like, why? When we were teenagers, my friend Kaz always said like she would just sleep in her makeup and whatever. And even when we were like 18, I would always like hand her a face wipe and some moisturizer. Didn't matter how late it was, how drunk we were. I was diligent from a very young age about minimally take off your makeup and put some moisturizer on. So it's a really strange thing because I'm making a conscious decision, getting into bed. The moisturizer is just there. It's not even like it's in the bathroom. It's just right there next to my bed. And I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered. All of this is to say, my skin hasn't been particularly great recently. It's just very dry. Also, what even is that? I can't use cream blush products in the winter. They just don't blend. It's too cold and I end up having to push them around my face so much that I wipe away my foundation. I've talked about this before because I love cream products and so many people have been like, well, how did that even work? Because surely you like displace the foundation underneath. Usually not, because usually I can kind of manage to blend it out without messing with that. But because I do have pigmentation underneath as well, when something like this doesn't blend out very nicely, it really looks patchy because what's underneath the actual skin is making it look like, so that's just like a weird patch that you didn't blend out. No, it's just my skin. I'll tell you one thing that I know for sure. Whenever I get back into video games, I love video games, love them. But whenever I get back into like proper, like story-driven video games, I just finished Thimbleweed Park on the PlayStation because I hadn't played it for ages for the reason I'm about to tell you. But I really wanted to finish the game. So I did, and that was really good. But it was like a 3-hour stint on the PlayStation. I think if I'd had, like as a teenager, if this had been my thing, if we'd had access to all of this stuff now, I would have been a gamer. And it puts me in this weird, like, disassociative or dissociative, you know the word I'm trying to say, that kind of state of like complete disconnection with the outside world, not wanting to do anything apart from play that game and not wanting to be involved in anything else. I'm just kind of, this is the world I live in now, and if I could completely be on my own in a room for like 3 weeks and do that and not talk to anyone and just have food delivered, that's all I want to do while I'm doing that, which is a shame because I really enjoy video games. Not entirely sure how to make my experience of them different. It's like, I wonder if that's an ADHD thing. Hyper focus, that makes total sense. Someone the other day, I posted a little, like an old reel that I posted on Instagram, I posted it on YouTube about, do you know how like when I first started thinking maybe I had ADHD? And it was just like kind of a joke, but I posted it as a short on my main channel if you want to go and see it. And someone pretty much just accused me of appropriating mental health disorders for views. I'm like, if I was doing that, I'd get more views, number one. But also encouraging people to self-diagnose. I have not diagnosed myself with ADHD. I'd love to have an actual diagnosis purely so that I don't have to have those conversations. I'd love to be able to say, this has been diagnosed. However, here is my issue with the private diagnosis, because I've gone down the route of like, so maybe we'll do this. It's really, really expensive. And because it is a mental health disorder and it isn't something, there's no blood test, there's no evidence beyond one person saying, I diagnose you with this. This is my medical opinion that you have this. Then if you're paying privately, is it possible that you are paying for a diagnosis? Are you still going to be looked at in the sick, because you get screened and all that stuff, but if they are a private service, is it not in their best interests to give you the diagnosis you've gone in to get? That is my only concern with the private one. At some point, maybe I'll go down that route. But my overall point was, although I haven't been diagnosed, looking into it and being like, oh my God, this is really what I identify with, has really helped in times like this where I'm like, God, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do this normal thing? And then something will click and I'll go, oh, well, that will completely track with these things of ADHD. And actually, maybe it's this, and maybe you are just slightly different in that regard. Maybe your mind works differently with this, and it makes me feel better. It's a comfort. I'm not medicating myself. I'm not doing anything differently, but it is giving me a comfort to make me feel less abnormal and make me feel less like there's something wrong with me. Because, we've literally just had that live. I'll just go through like stages of Jesus, like really beating myself up. God, like, why can't you get it together? Like, why are you doing it like this and everybody else is doing it like that? And then something will click and I'll think, that's what it is. So although for some people, I get that it is annoying that people talk about it a lot on the internet and that people are self-diagnosing themselves. However, for a lot of people, I think it is about understanding themselves and giving themselves a bit of a break rather than appropriating a disorder. We're ready for school. The only problem with this cup is that it keeps it too hot. I can't actually drink it quick enough to do the school run. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this vlog. We'll try and make the next one less heavy.